Good afternoon, everyone. If I could ask you to stand, and Chaplain Charles Creech will give us our holiday message.
Well, let's pray. Lord God, thank you for your blessing upon all of us this day. Give us wisdom to deal with the items on our agendas and care for the folks in our care. Those things that you have given us to do, I pray that you will continue to give us the strength to do them very well. We seek your help in all the things we do during our time here this day. Bless our patients and our families during their vulnerable times. Often those times are when they are with us. Let them experience the best we have to offer them. Give us the strength to give them more than we think we have to give. Give us grace to take a breath of rest when we can. Bless our staff with joy, especially during this holiday season. Give them peace as we live out our lives here at peace with one another. This is more than a place to work. It is a calling and a righteous challenge to do good. Many of those who work here are sometimes unseen, but never out of your benevolent sight. They work for all of us when they work for you and your people of all faiths and sometimes no faith at all. Let your joy rest upon us during this holiday season. Now I pray that you would enable and empower this board to do your work among your people. In the name above every name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll pass along my holiday wishes to everyone and a very successful new year to this organization and everyone out there. So I call this meeting to order. I do have a statement I'm going to read relative to public comment. Any citizen desiring to address the hospital board should turn in a speaker card to the board secretary. If the citizen comment pertains to an item on the agenda today, the comment will be heard early in this meeting. Otherwise, it will be heard towards the end. Speakers are asked to limit their comment to 5 minutes. Vendors, suppliers, or other persons seeking hospital contracts awarded on a competitive basis are reminded that their ability to address the board may be restricted by the terms of the invitation for bid, request for proposal, or other purchasing criteria. Lastly, the board has established a claim adjustment review panel comprised of representatives of the board, the medical staff, administration, and legal counsel to review and negotiate the settlement of claims. Accordingly, the board will not entertain comments on or discussions or negotiate claims at this meeting. Alrighty, thank you. Orders of the day. I ask for approval to the orders of the day. Someone giving, you have a motion? Second? Second. Alrighty, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying yes. Yes. Opposed, no? Alrighty, thank you. Next is, I ask for a motion of approval of the minutes of November 20th, 2018. A motion for approval of the minutes. Second? Second. Any additions or deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes. Yes. Opposed, no? Thank you. All right. As you all might recall, at the last meeting, we elected the officers for this board year. And the next step in our organizational process is for the leadership and membership of our board committees. Do I have a motion?
I move approval of the committee leadership and community position membership as appointed by Mr. DiGiulio as the board chair.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, or concerns? I'm glad I don't hear any. And all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no? Alrighty, thank you, and I appreciate all of your support in leading the various committees. All right, next up, Dr. Seaman. You're going to introduce Dr. Klima for our speaker today.
Thank you, Mr. DiVirgilio. I have the honor to introduce Dr. Klima.
I apologize for mispronunciation.
Dr. Klima is an orthopedic traumatologist who did his medical school at Midwestern University in Illinois, did his internship and residency in Riverside County Regional Medical Center in California, and then did a traumatology fellowship at University of Florida in Gainesville. He's been on staff since June of 2015, focusing his efforts on the care of our trauma patients who are orthopedically damaged. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, good afternoon. We wanted to talk a little bit today about the Orthopedic Trauma Service, which is a program, a new program that we started here back at Sarasota Memorial back in 2015 when SMH became a Level 2 trauma center. The goals were to provide care for complex patients with orthopedic injuries. The field of orthopedic traumatology started out initially as a field dedicated to the surgery of pelvis and acetabulum fractures. Since then, it has branched out to develop minimally invasive approaches to all fractures and complex fractures in general, particularly open fractures or fractures that have broken through the skin, periarticular fractures, so fractures that involve your joints, and other fractures in what we call high-risk patients, and we'll talk about that in a second. And you can kind of see here, this was an x-ray from a young woman at the age of 65 who was jet skiing with her grandson, and her grandson actually hit her when she was on the jet ski, and she had a complex pelvis fracture, who I actually just saw back in clinic about 2 months ago, and she's actually walking around doing quite well. And so we see here some x-rays. Over on the left-hand side of the field, you have a fairly straightforward, simple tibia fracture that just about any orthopedic surgery can and would fix. Over on the right-hand side, these are more kind of the complex injuries that we went after when we started up the new program back in 2015 in terms of their complexity. And so you can see treating an injury like this not only requires reconstructing the bones, like in this case. This is just below the knee joint that was reconstructed. But in a case like this, a lot of times there's pieces missing. So this gentleman was struck in a motor vehicle accident and is missing probably about 9 centimeters of his tibia with the surrounding soft tissues that required not only a bony but a soft tissue reconstruction, which we were able to do for this gentleman, and he's now up and walking, doing quite well. And so outside of just complex fracture types, we're now kind of getting these unusual cases that are being transferred to us. This gentleman came all the way from Naples, and he was involved in an accident several years ago. Initially had a femur fracture, a thigh bone fracture that did not heal, was involved in another automobile accident where he was ejected from the car and actually bent the rod that was placed previously in his leg. The challenge being now, how do you get a bent rod out of what used to be a straight leg? And this is what the rod actually looked like when it came out. And typically, it like I said, it's straight like a pencil, and that can be a challenge, but we have a couple tricks to do that, and here are the actual x-rays from the case. Afterwards, this worked out pretty well for this guy. Looking at our 3-year outcomes, I think it's important to note that, outcomes really are a factor of the team. And having really complex injuries like this do require complete teamwork, from nursing staff to myself to a lot of times the orthopedic surgeon on call who's initially taking care of these injuries and stabilizing them before he's passing them off to me and my partner. And the results from our 3-year outcome study on some of our bad tibia fractures, so the top results are on tibial plateau fractures, or kind of what you see in the x-ray up there. Our outcomes are very good. I would put those up against any other department right now in the country compared to what we're seeing in terms of complications compared to what's reported in the orthopedic literature. The same for high-grade open tibia fractures, so that gentleman who was missing a probably 9 or 10 segment portion of his tibia, again, outcomes which really are a reflection of the team and the teamwork that it requires to address complex injuries, are also pretty good. And so they always say, if you build it, they will come. And so if you look at what we're seeing over the last 4 years in terms of the number of cases that are now being sent to Sarasota Memorial, my first year, probably about 230 cases, and every year we've seen pretty good growth. And the last numbers were taken right around Thanksgiving, with still about 6 weeks left in the year to finish off the final number there. But we're seeing more of these cases now sent to Sarasota Memorial Hospital. And so the last 3 years now has spawned some growth for this kind of small program, which initially just started as myself. Now I have a partner. We were really lucky to get Christopher Holden. If we didn't hire him, he would be on faculty now at University of Gainesville as an attending there. And we've also been able to pick up PA support of about 3 now. And so really our goal for 2019 is to reach out to the surrounding community and people in need, and let them know about Sarasota Memorial Hospital, let them know about our program, and let them know that they can count on our support, and we're working on now and getting more of these injuries here. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Appreciate it very much. Anybody have any questions?
Well done, and welcome to our hospital. If you had an unlimited wish list, my board members won't like this question, but if you had an unlimited wish list, what one thing would you like the board to consider to make your area of expertise more efficient, more results-driven, yada, yada, yada?
I think right now probably our biggest limitation is OR space and availability. My partner and I, our OR time is maxed out daily. And so increasing capacity there, I think, would allow us to get more faster and turn them over faster, get them out of the hospital faster. Yep, thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
And Mr. Chairman, before we go on, I just want to say that Dr. Kleiman and his partner, Dr. Holden, have been amazing in this hospital and really did enable us to really bring incredible results into our overall trauma system. And not sure we could have done it without them with the orthopedic division. So we all owe them a very much debt of gratitude. So thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Oh, he left. Said all those nice things, and he was, out the door. Thanks, Matt.
He hung in there. He heard his name, so he kind of backed up a little bit. So we're good. We're good. All right. Next up, we have a Hero Award, and I'll turn it over to you, David.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Dr. Stephen Morandi to come up and see me. Doctor. So, pretty incredible story. I get the privilege of telling you guys. I'm not sure why this keyboard's here, but I'm going to move it. Dr. Stephen Morandi is our Hero Award for recipient this month, and he's a diagnostic radiologist and our co-director in our breast imaging department. During a recent Colorado vacation, Dr. Morandi and his family were on a Jeep expedition in the mountains when they encountered another Jeep that had overturned with the driver pinned beneath. As first responder to the scene, Dr. Morandi found the driver seriously injured and with visible fractures and a bleeding head wound. He immediately stabilized the man's neck and cervical spine so others could free him from the wreckage. As bystanders called for help in the remote area, Dr. Morandi kept his patient calm and still for 2.5 hours while also tending to the head wound. An EMS team finally arrived and transported the patient to a nearby trauma center. A recent follow-up report confirmed that despite multiple broken bones and a serious head wound, the patient would make a full recovery and soon be able to return to his home in Australia. The patient's wife expressed her sincere appreciation for his medical assistance and heroism. thank you for everything you do, both in and out of that.
So it's my honor to read this plaque. The Hero Hall of Fame, the Hospital Board and Administrative Staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System hereby induct Dr. Stephen Morandi into the Team SMH Hero Hall of Fame for actions that capture the essence of a true hero, including courage, to have persistency in the face of fear, passion to always do the right thing, integrity to have a strong moral compass, concern to have concern for the well-being of others. Signed by David Vernder, our President and CEO, and Joe DiVirgilio, our Hospital Chair. Congratulations. Thank you.
Just tell him hi. He's a great radiologist, and he's brought a lot of great things to our organization here, too.
It was just a pretty unexpected event, as you can imagine. Never thought I'd be the first one on the scene like that. It's not my field of expertise, but quite interesting. You know, we all study acute care and life support, and we get to use it. My family was with me, so it was interesting for my kids to see what kind of happens in that setting. The only problem was that there was really no communication, and it was only a satellite. Somebody happened to have a satellite texting device that sent out a message to somebody, but we had no way to know if anybody received it or not. So we pretty much just had to sit and wait. Couldn't go anywhere, couldn't move him. So they eventually did show up, thankfully, and had to transport him by ground because it was inaccessible to helicopter. So it would have been nice to have that.
Anyway, congratulations and
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Dr. Seaman, I don't know how you top that, but you're on next.
Yeah, it's hard to follow. All I can say is he's on the medical staff. Sorry about that. I have nothing to report for the Chief of Staff report.
Oh, there you go. Well, excellent. Foundation report, Mason Ayers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted the board to know that we are expecting a big turnout for the second annual hospital gala, which is on January 12th at the Ritz. We're at capacity now, and we've started a wait list. So we are expecting a full room that evening. And as you guys know, and as I've said the last couple of board meetings, the evening will benefit the SMH cardiac services here. Also, I wanted to just take a moment and announce that we have a retirement, a longtime employee at the Healthcare Foundation. Priscilla Mitchell, who's our Senior Vice President and CFO, will be retiring in January after 19 years with the Healthcare Foundation. She will be missed, but we have started looking for her replacement, and she's off to a very well-deserved retirement. And then finally, on behalf of the Healthcare Foundation, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Well, great. Same to you, Mason, and thank you very much. We look forward to the new year and the second annual gala.
Yes, it'll be fun.
The resurgence of the gala, I guess it is. So, but last year was excellent, and a lot of surprises. It'll be interesting what you have up your sleeve for this year.
Funny.
There you go. Next, Secretary's report, Greg Carter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's going to be looks like an easy month. We have Joint Finance and Audit Committee, January 22nd at 9 o'clock. At 10:30 till noon, we have our Quality Committee. And from noon to 12:30, we have the closed session of the board. Then 12:30 to 2 is board lunch with issue and financial report. And at 2 to 4 is board meeting. And that concludes my report.
All right. Well, thank you. And I do want to mention to all the board members, that's a Tuesday, the 22nd meeting.
Yes.
That's also a reaffirmation for me. It's not Monday, it's Tuesday. There you go. But anyway, thank you, Greg. All right, Treasurer's report, Sharon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of the bad debts and charity care for the month ended November 30th, 2017, in the amount of $21,155,000.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, Thank you, Sharon, appreciate it. All right, we move over to the treasurer's, the financial highlights, and Bill Wojcik.
Good afternoon. I have the financial highlights for November. So we'll start with operating revenue for the system. For November, we had operating revenue of $73,052,000 compared to a budget of $69,175,000. Fiscal year to date, this is 2 months into our fiscal year, operating revenue of $147,190,000 compared to a budget of $139,800,000. For total expenses for the system, for the month of November, $68,791,000 compared to a budget of $68,834,000. Fiscal year to date, total expenses of $141,322,000 compared to the budget of $139,105,000. Operating income in the rating agency format for the system for November, $8,280,000, which generated an operating margin of 10.6%. This compares favorably to the budget of $4,267,000, budgeted operating margin of 5.8%. 2 months into our fiscal year, we have operating income of $13,910,000 for an operating margin of 8.9%. And this compares again favorably to the budget of $8,546,000, budgeted operating margin of 5.7%. Looking at statistics, and these are fiscal year to date, so 2-month numbers. For the hospital, average daily occupancy, 518 patients, compared to the budget of 496 patients. The average acute length of stay, 4.29 days, and last year it was at 4.38 days. Admissions, we have 6,076 so far this year, and that compares favorably to the budget of 5,836. For the hospital surgery cases, again, 2 months, 4,108 compared to the budget of 3,930. And for births, we have 627 compared to the budget of 623. For outpatient registration so far this fiscal year, 77,765 compared to a budget of 74,680. And emergency care registrations, 20,139 compared to the budget of 20,208. And our case mix index so far, 1.90 for all patients and 1.91 for Medicare patients. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Bill this morning? This afternoon, Still asleep. All right, thank you, Bill. All right, we move on to the board committee reports, and the first one up is the HR committee, and Jim Meister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The HR committee met this morning. The main order of business was the CEO performance and compensation review. Mr. Verinder provided the board with highlights from the system's year, including a recap of the national indicators of excellence, including being the only hospital in Florida to achieve the CMS's 5-star rating 4 consecutive times. Consistent A rating from the Leapfrog Group, our 4th magnet designation, the Gallup Exceptional Recognition. He discussed the success of the Certificate of Need process for our Venice Hospital, the excellent work done to maintain the quality of care despite our increased volumes and capacity challenges, the ongoing work on the Cancer Institute, and the continued work to increase patient access to physicians through strategic hiring and our residency program in internal medicine and emergency care. He also discussed our increased market share and strong operating performance as reflected in our positive margin, revenue growth, and liquidity. The Executive Director of HR, Lori Benefit, then presented the 2018 system report card, through which David achieved 24.863% of his possible 32.5% SMART plan incentive and a discussion of the 2019 system report card. Finally, Lori presented the third-party analysis of our CEO compensation package, comparing David's compensation to CEOs of like hospital systems, including at the board request a framework for a long-term incentive program. After extensive discussion, the committee recommended, and I now move to approve, as recommended by the HR committee, the following: the award of 24.86% Smart Plan incentive for 2018, a 3% merit increase in base salary for 2019, setting a 35% the Smart Plan maximum award for 2019, extending David's contract to 2025, adopting a 3-year long-term incentive plan with a 25% annual incentive earned upon on-time and on-budget operation of the Sarasota Memorial Hospital Venice and Cancer Institute Tower, with more specific information for setting benchmarks to be provided to the Governance Committee at its next meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying yes. Yes. Opposed, no?
No.
Yeses carry it, so we'll move on. And David, just want to reinforce what we just did. We appreciate everything you and your staff have done, and hopefully we've reflected that in the package we've just put together.
Thank you very much to everyone. I appreciate it.
Next committee, Jim, you have anything else for us?
That's it,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Next up is the Mission and Planning Committee. Greg Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning, the Mission and Planning Committee also met, and we had a presentation on Sarasota Memorial physicians and program directors giving an update on graduate medical education at Sarasota Memorial. To begin the GME update presentation, Dr. Wilhelmina Visa-Ramesh, program director, gave an overview of the Florida State University Internal Medicine Residency Program. Dr. Visa-Ramesh explained the goals of the program and the program's progress thus far. The Internal Medicine Residency Program has successfully enrolled 26 culturally diverse and highly competent residents. The program continues to serve a diverse socioeconomic demographic at SMH, the Internal Medicine Newtown Clinic, and adds tremendous value to the community by improving quality and access to care. Next, Dr. Kelly O'Keefe, Program Director, presented on the Florida State University Emergency Medicine Residency Program. Dr. O'Keefe began by giving the history of emergency medicine and the need for emergency medicine physicians in the United States. He then detailed the emergency medicine residency program, which will produce clinicians that will stay and practice in the community. The residency program is 3 years in length and will enroll 27 emergency medicine residents once fully operational. And lastly, Dr. Joelle Blahakis, Medical Director for Palliative Care, presented an overview of the Hospice and Palliative Medicine Fellowship at Sarasota Memorial. She educated the committee on the difference between hospice and palliative medicine and the benefits and services we'll have on the hospital. She discussed the hospice and palliative medicine workforce shortage, which could be lessened by the creation of this fellowship program. The Hospice and Palliative Medicine Fellowship application will be submitted in the spring of 2019, and upon approval, the Hospice and Palliative Medicine Fellows are scheduled to begin in July of 2020. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. All right, next up is the President's report. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start today, as I always do, and look at our organizational report card for fiscal year to date 2019. We start in a service pillar, and we have our goal of having is our system patient experience or likelihood of recommending our number of service areas at or equal to the 75th percentile. Our goal is 8 out of 10. Happy to report we are hitting that goal, is 8 out of 10 right now. In the people pillar, we have the same standard that we've had for quite some time, which is a turnover of part-time and full-time people within the employees within the first 12 months of hire. We've established a new goal of 24% on that. Happy to report that in the first 2 months, we are actually exceeding that or hitting that goal at 21.33%. In the quality pillar, we have our indicators, our infection prevention, which is our combined overall standardized infection rate, a goal being less than 0.93. Happy to report we are hitting that as well at 0.73. In the finance pillar, which you heard Bill Wojin, our CFO, present earlier, we have an organizational finance goal of hitting of a budget of 6.5% operating margin. I'm happy to report that we are exceeding that, or projecting to exceed that at 7%. In our growth pillar, we have 2 goals in growth. The first being our inpatient admissions and observation outpatients. Have a goal of hitting 46,070 for the year. We are projecting that we're going to exceed that at 49,917. And outpatient registrations at 894,000. We are projecting to exceed that at 919,000. When we look a little bit deeper into our service, our patient experience, you do see in likelihood recommending the various categories that we look at, from all over the health system. The middle column you see is what our actual score was. Then you see the national median score and the 75th percentile score. So we have 2 areas, one in ambulatory surgery that missed by a point, and our emergency care center at Northport, which missed by a point. So I'd say we're starting the year off fairly well in that. Switching over to our staying in service, we have a number of different activities our staff worked in this past month. First is Sarasota Memorial was named the top company participating in making strides against breast cancer walk, which took place during the Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. SMH sponsored the event and fielded 34 teams, raising more than $32,000. Congratulations for everybody who was involved in leading the fight against breast cancer. We also participated in the Heart Walk, and so Sarasota Memorial staff turned out in force at the recent Heart Walk to benefit the American Heart Association. 21 teams from Sarasota Memorial participated, raising $17,200 to date. Staying in service, our medical executive committee has been selected at the recent annual SMH medical staff meeting. Officers were installed for the 2018-2019 medical executive committee. Our pulmonologist, Joseph Seaman, was named chief of staff. Congratulations, Joe. He exceeds OBGYN Kyle Gardner as the outgoing chief of staff. One of our plastic surgeons, Alyssa Schulman, was named chief staff-elect. And cardiovascular thoracic surgeon Jeff Sell was named secretary-treasurer. Anesthesiologist Sean Daly and interventional radiologist Scott Perrin were also named members at large. Dr. Seaman, please pass on all of our congratulations. In the quality section, Sarasota Memorial earns Best Nursing Home rating. The Sarasota Memorial Nursing and Rehab Center recently received U.S. News and World Report's Best Nursing Home rating. In its 2018-2019 report, U.S. News reviewed more than 15,000 nursing homes across the nation, and fewer than 3,000 received Best Nursing Home designation. So congratulations to the staff. Staying in quality, public safety ranked among the best in the world. Congratulations to Sarasota Memorial's Public Safety Department, which has been recognized in Security Magazine's 2018 Security 500 rankings as one of the best managed security organizations in the world in all sectors. This is the 4th consecutive year that SMH Public Safety Team has been honored with a Security 500 award, and the 5th time overall. And I saw Mickey standing in the back. Or sitting in the back. Is he back there?
He is in
You want to stand and let people see you? Thank you, Mickey. Staying in quality, we have congratulations to our SMH's 27th Daisy Award winners. Stephen Arnold, who's an RN, BSN and RN of Cardiac Progressive 4 and 7, Courtyard Tower, was the recent recipient of the Daisy Award, which is awarded for exemplary professional practice in nursing. So congratulations, Stephen. Staying in quality, our RN recognized for nursing leadership. So congratulations to Vicki Smith of the Float team, who was recently recognized by the Nursing Leadership Council for her leadership in the development and implementation of chest pain algorithm. The algorithm was created in response to an identified need for both nurses and patients to have a standardized body of evidence-based information and recommendations on how to manage chest pain. So congratulations to Vicki. Staying in people, we continue to volunteer year after year to help fill Bowls of Hope. Our volunteers from Sarasota Memorial assisted again with this, with the Bowls of Hope, an annual fundraiser for All Faiths Food Bank. Volunteers helped guests select their bowls, which are created and donated by local artists and served in the hospital scallop and bacon chowder. So, once again, an all-time favorite there at Bowls of Hope. I'm not sure if that's official or if that's just me saying it. But it's very good. Staying in people, a sim lab provides hands-on experience. SMH staff recently gave students at Riverview High School a behind-the-scenes look at the SMH sim lab, where they learned about patient simulators and careers in nursing, rehab, and pharmacy. SMH also honors our veterans. Annette Gargano of the SMH float team and a U.S. Army veteran, who's pictured third from the left, continued a long-standing Veterans Day tradition of leading a team in distributing special pins and ribbons to all staff, volunteers, and patients who have served their country. So thank you so much, Annette, for that. Going into growth, we had a spacious new patient care areas open. SMH recently opened a 26-bed trauma progressive care unit on the newly renovated 9 East Tower, and soon we'll open a 26-bed unit for medical respiratory patients on 10 East Tower. Both floors feature spacious private patient suites, and we'd just like to thank Lori for her leadership, Lori Lang, our COO, for her leadership on that, and also thank the board for really providing quite a bit of money for this project over a year ago, and we finally see the fruits of that. So thank you. Continuing in growth, Lorraine Corners project is well underway. Sarasota Memorial's First Physician Group is expanding into East Manatee County with a medical office building at State Road 70 in Lorraine. The 12,000 square foot physician practice is on track to open in summer 2019. You can see an aerial picture there. Quite an impressive building if you have a chance to be out there. And staying in growth, the much anticipated West Parking Garage is scheduled to open December 20th, this Thursday, increasing parking capacity on campus by 583 spaces. As construction of the Ecology Tower moves forward, valet parking procedures will change in the weeks ahead to increase some efficiency. Vehicles will continue to be dropped off with the valets at the main entrance and the ER care center, but the valet pickup will move to the Waldemere Garage. An enclosed air conditioning waiting area will be constructed on the first floor of the garage to help make our guests comfortable. Traffic on the first floor of the Waldemere Garage will be rerouted to improve the flow of vehicles. And I would just like to add to this, we've had 250, 300 of our team members parking off-site and taking a transportation in each day to and from the hospital. We'd just like to really thank them for doing this for the last 2 years. It's really not something anybody really wants to, but we had people step up and take on that. And so thank you for everyone who did that for the benefit of our patients. This is some free lecture series that we have. I would invite you to just go to our website and take a look at the classes that are coming up if you're so interested in that. We would we do ask that you RSVP for that, just so we can get a head count. They're always free, and we enjoy hosting those. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for David? Well, David, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, anything on the consent agenda? All righty, any public comment? Okay, anything from the legal side?
I have no report.
All righty, well, hearing none, I want to express to all the board and the staff of the hospital, have a very happy holiday, and we look forward to another fabulous year in the new year. And we stand adjourned, thank you.